Hello everyone. This is another session of learning QA. This session is specifically for VSTS, which is Visual Studio Team Service. This is a Microsoft tool and very famous tool in the market. And today I will show you as a QA what are the things you have to do in that tool and how to do and how to manage a Scrum, Agile Scrum methodology in this tool. So those two things I will show in this session, and I'm gonna begin with the Agile Scrum methodology, how to manage in the tool, basically release management or Agile Scrum management, and then I'll move on to the QA management or test management. Um, let's start then. So in order to get VSTS a trial version, you have to go to Google, and then you can search VSTS, and you'll see plan code together ship faster. This link, you have to click on it, and then you'll be navigate to this UI, and then you have to click on get Azure DevOps free. Now you might gonna have question that what is Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps is the same as the VSTS. Azure DevOps is the newest version. They changed the name to Azure DevOps, and the older name is basically VSTS. So So some of you guys know maybe TFS MTM. TFS is Team Foundation Server, and MTM is Microsoft Test Manager. Those two are the very oldest tool in Microsoft test management or release management purpose. And those TFS and MTM was the desktop-based tool. Basically, you have to download it in your computer, and then you have to install and connect to a server. And then you will be able to use it for managing release, managing defect, and then test management purpose, MTM. All those things you can do in TFS and MTM. Very popular tool. And then they said, okay, we need a cloud-based version, and then they came up with the new tool which is Visual Studio Team Server. Honestly, before VSTS there was another version which was VSO, Visual Studio Online, and then they changed to VSTS. And recently in the job market, people are looking for VSTS a lot because it's very user friendly tool, and companies are using a lot. And recently they changed the name to Azure DevOps, and that's why I said get Azure DevOps free. So today we'll focus on mostly the VSTS version, but I will show you guys at the end of the course and of the session a little bit about the Azure DevOps. So let's click on get Azure DevOps free. After I click on that, and then basically you have to insert your email address. It's good to use your Microsoft email address. If you don't have Microsoft email address, you can try with the other email address, but I never try other email address. Always use Microsoft email address. For example, the Outlook email address. So if you don't have any Outlook email address, just create one Outlook email address, free one, and then use it here. Click on that and enter your password. Then you have to click on continue. Then it will ask for project name. The project name you can give whatever the project you want, you can give. For example, I'm giving the project name is retail 1. Why I'm giving retail 1? Because I'm gonna work on retail application, a sample retail application that I have right now, and I can use for testing purpose. That's why I give retail 1 the project name. I can keep private or public. Public means anywhere people they will able to see your project, or private means it only the organization people will see this project. And create project. So here you can see this is Azure DevOps, and left side all the modules for the Azure DevOps, and this is the project just I have created. I can go back to the VSTS version, the older version. Just you have to click on the name in the top right corner, and you have to click on the preview features, and then you see option new navigation is turned on right now, as you see the Azure DevOps. So you can turn off, then you will go back to the older features, so you have to turn off, then close it. Now you are in the VSTS version. Okay, And you're in the project level right now, and if you want to go home page, this is the basically home button. You can click and then go to the home button. And the project I have created, I did not mention in the project, this project is basically for agile or scrum or kanban. I didn't mention specifically this is the what framework of agile I'm going to use here. So what I'm going to do, I will delete that project right now, and I will create a new one which specifically mention the Scrum or Kanban, not in general Agile. So I'm going to delete here. So now you know how to delete a project. If you delete like that, it's temporarily delete. If you want to permanently delete, then you have to click on the settings and then projects. Then this is a three dot menu and then delete. This is a permanently delete. Then you have to confirm. You have to type exact the project name that you wanna delete, and then delete project. Project will be deleted. All right. So successfully deleted the project. Now I need to create a new project. So let's go back to the home, and project name I have to give. For example, I'm gonna give the same name, retailer 1. Description I can skip right now, keep private. Version control I can keep the foundation server version control, and instead of agile I'm gonna put scrum. So scrum is specifically in what framework of agile. Create. So project is creating right now. Project is created. Okay, and now team member. In a project, in a scrum project, you might gonna have a different cross-functional team members. For example, you might gonna have a couple of developer, a couple of testers, product owner, scrum master. So in my project right now, I'm gonna add few people as I need. So TA, which is me, this is a product owner, and I can add one scrum master. So my scrum master is Fayul Rahman is the scrum master, and I can say Mahbub Rahman is my developer. Alex Fernandez is my developer. Amna Muzaffar is my tester, QA. Zareen Musfaka is basically my QA. Actually, she's not the QA, she's the BA in different project. Let me add Shubo is my QA. Um, Taj is another QA. Have Taj Farouk is another QA. So there is my Scrum Master, my developer, another QA, another QA. So I have 6 team member including me. Add. So those people will be added in the retail 1 team. So you can see those team members. Now my team is ready, my project is ready. Now we have to go um, to see the modules. Okay, so dashboard, I will describe the dashboard later on the video. And repos basically is the files, chain set, self sets, all those things. Self sets, chain sets, and file, those are basically used by the developers. And then pipelines, the builds, release, packages, library, task groups, deployments, all those things by the name you can figure out those are on also for developers purpose. Development purpose, developers will use that. So as a queue we're not going to use that. Test obviously is testers modules, will work on that in later part of the video. Work, which is I'm going to work right now. So I'm going to perform as a product owner. Okay, so product owner, what product owner's role? Basically create the product backlog, manage the product backlog, do story grooming, and help the sprint planning, prioritize story, and approve the story, all those things, right? So right now, as the product owner, I will basically create the product backlog. So in the work, I'm gonna click on the backlog, and I will be in the backlog. So I'm in the backlog. The left side, you can see what are the things I can be in the backlog. What are the different backlog could be there. So there is features. There is the backlog items, which is basically user stories, small backlog items, and then um, so if your company use features, then you're gonna have features backlog, and then if your company use the user story, obviously you're gonna use the user story is gonna be in the backlog item. Some company they have another parent option which is called Epic. So Epic is basically big user story, multiple features together. Epic, Epic is basically business level story, came from the business people, and then it can be achievable in a month or multiple couple of months in a release or couple of release. It's a very big chunk of the product. Features basically small part of the application, consist of multiple user stories. It become a feature, and this can be achievable in a sprint and in a team. A whole team basically gonna work on different features. Backlog item, basically your user story is basically very small amount, very small part of the area will cover the user story, and user story can be done by the particular team members or a couple of team members together. Is achievable in a day or couple of days. So this is the backlog item. So I don't have Epic here. If you want to add Epic, if your company use the Epic, then you have to click on this settings button or gear button, and then you have to go to the backlog. You see Epic is unchecked, you can check, and then Epic will be available. Now Epic is available. So if I go to the Epic, I have one Epic to for my application. So my application is basically a retail application to manage the internal retail retail management, like manage the retail product, retail customer, retail orders, all those things you can manage, report, administration, all those things you can manage. The application is basically internal application, and used by customer service representative, product inventory user, order management user, all those people will use this application. So that application, I will show you today for example purpose how you can work on the VSTS for that application. So I can consider the Epic is basically to create a retail management, very small one. I'm just giving retail management. This is the example of Epic, which will be achievable in one release or multiple release, a couple of months maybe. So this is my Epic. I can add, and then under this Epic, I'm gonna create a different features. So I'm gonna click on the plus sign, and then I can give um, my first features is basically customer management. This is the first feature, and area is basically the project, and iteration is basically that project, retail one. I cannot select sprint 1, sprint 2 because I'm not sure that which sprint I'm going to work on these features. And then if you have any description, acceptance criteria for the features, you can add that. If you have start date and end date, you can add that, but I don't have right now. Priority level you can set. You can set the business value. Business area is it will impact the business or architecture level. All those things you can add if you want, but I'm just leaving empty right now. So you see that under this Epic there is another feature I can add. I have two more features. So second feature is basically product management. So product management I will create using save and close. So I have two features under this Epic. Another way you can add features, you can go to the features and then you can just click on, you can insert here. My third feature is basically order management. So my third is order management. If I go my epic, if I expand the epic, you can see that only two features under this epic. The third one is not there because I did not give any link between the epic and features. Whenever I create from here, automatically it linked as a parent-child relationship. But when I create independently, which I create this one, I did not give any link that okay, these features for what epic related to work is empty. So I have to give a link with the epic. So related to work existing item, because I have the epic existing already, that epic would be a parent of these features, so not the child. So parent of this feature. What is the epic? I can search by ID, name, all those things, but here is automatically populated. But whenever you're gonna have a lot of epic and features, obviously good idea to search by ID, and then you can click, so it's auto linked, and save and close. Now if you go to the epic, expand it, now you can see three features available for this epic. Alright, so now my epic is ready, my features are ready. Now let's go to backlog item. Basically I'm gonna add my user stories. You can add in the features specifically that what are the user story for these features, what are the user story for these features. You can add from here, or independently you can do from here, but then you have to link it. So I love to do from here in the features. So I'm going to click on add story for customer management first. So I'm going to click on the plus sign in the customer management, and I will add a product backlog item. PBI is called product backlog item, which is basically my user story. Now title of the user story, I have the title of the user story written in Excel sheet, so I can copy and paste here. As a CSR, I would like to log in with valid username and password so that I can navigate to retail homepage. This is the story. And a description, if you have any precondition or any other description, if you have, you can add. If you have acceptance criteria, you can add here. So I have few acceptance criteria. So my first acceptance criteria is basically with a valid credential, user will navigate to application homepage. Second acceptance criteria, with valid credential, user will get an error message in top of the login UI. Third one, with, actually this is gonna be invalid, with empty username or password, user will get error message in pop-up UI. So those are the my three acceptance criteria I have for this story. And this story is the priority. I can set the priority, but right now I'm gonna create a raw story, basically the story name, that's all pretty much, and then I will groom it later. So let's save and close and add more story. My second story for this particular features, this is my second story, and that's it. Save and close. So I'm creating the story is basically called raw story. I'm not adding any additional information or description, acceptance criteria, and details for this story because not groomed yet. I will groom it later on. More story. So I have four stories for these features, And then let's add few story for order manage product management. Add more. Okay, one more here. Let's add few for order management. Okay, so that's all. I'm not gonna add more because it's the same thing doing again and again. So I have so far how many stories? I have total 10 stories. Four for customer management, four three order management, three are for um, product management. And I have three features, and if I expand I can see three stories, four stories, three stories. So this is my basically product backlog. This is, I can say, features backlog. This is my epic backlog. Okay, total is my backlog. And now my story is ready. But is that ready to work? No, it's not. Before I start the sprint, I have to groom. As a product owner, I have to groom my story. I have to groom it. I have to make how to groom it based on what I can groom. If the story is dependent, I have to make as much as independent story. If the story is big, then I have to break down to small stories. If the story is not clear, then I have to make it clear. If the story has any information missing, then I have to add those information. For example, um, uh, like acceptance criterias, for example, any screenshot if I need, and then the story's priority, severity, how the story will impact the business, all those things, and story point, all those things I have to add in the story to make the stories very, very um, ready to work. So that is called grooming. So there is most of the company, they follow a separate meeting, grooming meeting before the sprint. They do grooming as a team together. They sit in a room, they talk about the story, they vote for the story point, and then make the story better, basically that. Okay, and then they groom the story, and then they plan for the sprint using the groom story. So let's groom a couple of stories first, okay, as a product owner. So let's open a story. So this story has the ID, which is good. The ID is auto-generated, so I don't have to worry for that. As a CSR, I would like to log in with a valid username and password so that I can navigate to the retail homepage. Very straightforward user story. And CSR, basically, I mentioned before, is customer service representative, and project is mentioned, iteration is not mentioned because I'm not sure this story will be prioritized in the first sprint or second sprint or third sprint. So whenever I will prioritize that time, I will change the iteration path. Status is new right now, that's perfectly okay, because and then approved, committed, done, remove all those things. So new, perfect right now. Acceptance criteria I have already added, so it's already good. Priority, so priority is very critical, high, medium, low, or what I can say it's very, very critical story, because priority wise, because it's the login part. Without login you cannot do anything else, so I put 1. Effort, I'm not sure how many hours I have to spend, or as a team we have to spend for this story to complete, so I can leave empty right now. That's fine. Business value, how this story will impact the business. So out of, oh, if it's a 1 is the critical, 2 is the high, 3 is medium, and 4 is low, then I can consider it's a very, very critical or impact the business. So I can say 1. And what area it will impact? It will impact the architectural area or business area. This is the business value it will impact. So business area. And this story is linked to the feature, so it's perfectly okay. And what is missing here? Very important thing is missing, which is story point. The story is never gonna be complete without story point. Now what is story point? Story point is basically to um, like mention the size of the story, a size of the story, or how critical is the story, what, like how it will impact the business, how risk there, all those things together, how dependable story, all those things together, basically you will figure out the story point. So different company follow different procedure um, to identify the story point. Some company they follow t-shirt size, some company they follow bucket size, some company they follow a poker card, and few company nowadays, a lot of company they follow pokerpoint.com. This is a website and people can go there and then vote for the story point, and they figure out the story point sizing, okay. And they follow Fibonacci rules, basically Fibonacci numbers, basically 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8, 13, and 21, and so on and so on, okay. Basically previous two number, if you add up, and then then next number will be generated. So it's basically relative sizing, the Fibonacci rules number, okay. So always, common numbers basically use 1 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, those numbers, and very rarely I have seen 8. And if it's more than 13, basically it will consider is kind of a epic, that is not a story anymore. It's a very big thing that can be done in a release. So most of the time people vote for 1, 2, 3, and 5. More than 5, still it's a very critical, very long story. A product owner always try to resize it and make it smaller. So story point is missing. So if you want to add any additional field in the list, or you can remove something, then you can do it. You can customize everything in VSTS. So how to customize? You can click on these three dots, and then you can click on customize. Okay, let me save whatever I saved first, and then customize. So basically I will change the layout in the details. I want to add a field here, so basically new field, and use an existing field. So we have a lot of fields already. I can find out that story point I need. So here is story point, and I can go to the option. I can make it a required field, and default value is 0. Layout, like where I want to keep this a new field, in the details, or in development, or related work, or description, or acceptance criteria. I think it's very good to have in the details section, right? So add this field, and you can see the story point is added here. So my work is done. Let me go back to the where I was, like in the, not in the project though. Actually, let me go back my project. Okay, let me go to the backlog. Now open it. So now you can see here, so you can see the story point is available here as a required field. So without filling out this field, you cannot save basically. So now, based on my experience, based on my expertise, I can say, okay, this is uh, story point is 2 basically. Now, how many days or how many hours this story? No, it's not related. Hour is not related with the story at all, okay? Hour will go to the task, and the point will go to the story point, okay? User story. Then you can click on save and close. Basically, this story is groomed already and ready to work. So I can save and close. Then open the next one. If there is any acceptance criteria, you can add that. Let me check. I have any acceptance criteria for second one. Yes, I have a lot of acceptance criteria for second one. And priority I can say is 2, and business value I can keep 2. Story point I can keep 5. I believe this is a very critical one. It will impact the business a lot, and then it is risk also a lot. So let me keep this as story point 5 and save and close. Third one, let me check that is there an acceptance criteria. There is no acceptance criteria, but there is note, so I can add that. And story point I can consider is a 1, and business value 2, priority 2. That's good enough. And fourth one, there is no acceptance criteria, so for this story point I can keep, this is story point 1, priority I guess 3, and business value 3. Okay, that's all. Save and close. So I have groomed 4 user story. Let's, so if I can, if I want, I can move, go on a lot, go on, but that's fine. 4 user story I just groomed for example purpose, and then so those story I'm gonna use in particular sprint. So I have my epic is ready, features ready, and backlog items also ready, user stories, and it's also groomed. Now the time to create a sprint. So as a scrum master, I can I can play a role of a scrum master right now. I can create a sprint, I can give a time of the sprint, all those sprint planning basically. Okay, so the first day of the sprint, people do usually their sprint planning, and whole team join in the meeting. So let's go to current sprint. Now the sprint has backlog, sprint has board, capacity, all those things. So before, let's set the date first, okay? Before all of those. Sprint 1, you can give some other name if you want, but normally people use just sprint 1 and 2 and 3 like that, number. Start date, let's say, okay, start from today and finish 5 10 working days. So basically Saturday Sunday close, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 20 10 days sprint. It's a very standard time, 10 days sprint. Working days, work days remaining 10 days. And backlog is empty because nothing, not any user story prioritized by the product owner yet in the sprint backlog. So before I do that, there is a capacity. Okay, I have to do the capacity planning for particular sprint. How to do that capacity planning? So I have to go to capacity, and here you can see all the users, all the team members for this project. Okay, here available. Alex is basically our developer, work in development work. Amna is our testing team members. Fayul, Scrum Master, basically work with the requirement and documentation, so I can keep requirements. Mahbubur Rahman is basically our a developer. Taj Farouk is our tester, and Tariq Ahmed basically is a product owner, so I can say deployment or requirement. Either one I can keep, so let's put deployment. Okay, so Alex, if you have any day off, planned off day, then you can mention here like, okay, which day to which day you are planning to off. If you put it that, that will be deduct from your working hours. So if you have any planned day off, then you can mention here. If you have unplanned, obviously you cannot mention, so you can mention there. So mostly in the sprint planning meeting, scrum master ask like, hey, do you have any plan for day off or not? Capacity per day, how many hours you will work. So now most of the people in the project, they work 8 hours a day, which is very standard work hours, 8 hours a day. But actually that 8 hours people do their work, I have doubt. No. So in 8 hours I can consider 30 minutes my lunch time gone. Okay, so 7 and a half hour. Okay, There will be another half an hour for like talking to other colleagues, members, all those things. So another 30 minutes gone. So 1 hour gone in just lunch and talk. And then there is scrum meeting like maybe 15 to 30 minutes, and then other meeting maybe another 30 minutes, so total another 1 hour gone. So 2 hours gone from your 8 hours. So leftover hours basically 6 hours. This 6 hours, um, basically your work hour, pure work hour. Some people they do even less than 6 hours, but I'm saying 6 hours is your pure work hour. Now Alex is our part-time developer, like 50% allocation for this project. That means the person will work every day 3 hours out of 6 hours. Other 3 hours he will give to the other project. Amna is our tester, full capacity, that means 6 hours a day for his test as a tester. Fayul is our Scrum Master, 6 hours a day. Mahbubur Rahman is basically our developer, 6 hours a day. Taj Farooq is our tester, but is not full capacity, is half capacity, so 3 hours a day. Um, that Scrum Master has some other projects, so 3 hours. This product owner has three different projects, basically 2 hours a day. So that's all pretty much the hour distribution per day. And if you see the right side, basically total as a team we have 230 hours, and for deployment, basically product owner we have 20 hours, development we have 90 hours, requirement for Scrum Master 30 hours, for testing we have 90 hours, and then person by person how many hours. And then if he has 30 hours, I can give him 30 hours of work. So that's why you need to do capacity planning. So let's go to the backlog. You have to save it, otherwise not gonna save. So in VSTS this is a problem, nothing auto save, you have to save, which is in Jira or ALM everything auto save. So let's go to the backlog. Backlog is empty, so your product owner should prioritize groomed user story to particular sprint to work. So how to do that? You can go back to the backlog items. You know how what are the story groomed? Basically the first four, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can do two ways you can prioritize. You can just drag and drop the story that you want to prioritize for the sprint. You can drag and drop to the sprint, or you can open the story and you can mention here in the iteration that okay, this sprint, in sprint 1 I will work on this story. Okay, two ways you can do. I feel this is the easy one, right? Drag and drop. Alright, let's go back to the sprint. I already prioritized 4 stories for this particular sprint. You can see those 4 stories here are also already populated. Let's go back to the board. So if you talk about the board, this board is basically you can call is a Scrum board or storyboard or sprint board, task board, anything you want you can call. Different companies say different thing. Not the Kanban board. Kanban board is a little bit different for especially for the Kanban project. uh, if you go to the backlog item, you see there is a board. It's basically your all the stories board, product backlog board. Okay, and then if you go to the features, you will see board also is called features board, and there is epic, which is basically your epics. You can show the progress of the epic in progress or done, or which is new. And features also same thing, you can show the progress of the features in the board. And in the backlog item, basically you can show that which story is approved and committed to work and is done or in progress. It's all customizable, so you can add more columns if you want. Okay, so this story is basically groomed and prioritized for the sprint, so I can consider this status change to approved. So you can see the new to approved, and second one also approved by the product owner to work on particular sprint. Those 4 stories. And then when our team will committed to say that okay, we are capable of finish all those four stories, then it will be committed. Okay, because the product owner said that okay, we need four, but maybe a developer and tester together in the sprint planning say, hey, it's not possible to finish in particular sprint in 10 days. Can we take three from approved, and then you can take three, so three stories will be committed, okay, to work on. So let's go back to the sprint, and in the sprint board, next thing is basically a story cannot be assigned to a specific one person, because the story can be done by um, the developer will work on the story, as well as testers will work on the story, and maybe other DVA people or backend people will work on the story too, right? So different people will perform different tasks to finish the story, right? So I have to create a different task as a scrum master for different people, or different people like developer testers, they will create their task in the board. So let's create those tasks right now. So how to create those tasks, right? So for example, a developer saying that a task to add, or what task, right? So the task is basically developer said okay, they have to do analyze the story. So this is a task, analyze story, and I can mention as a prefix a dev, so people will know this is a dev work, even though I'll put a sign this is a dev work, and assign to one of our developer to Alex. And I can open this story, I mean task, and I can mention the priority is to remaining work. Now I can ask to developer like, hey, how long you gonna take to analyze the story? Developer said, okay, I need 2 hours to analyze the story. I know this is not realistic for that small story, but okay, they will give some time based on the story developer as the person want. Activity basically is the development work, and is this story is blocked by anything else? No, it's not. So I can save it. Then next task I can say developer said okay, we need to this develop this story, um, like basically code, okay, develop development. This is another task for a developer, right? I can assign to Alex as he's gonna analyze this story, and ask him like how many hours you're looking for to develop this story. Said 5 hours. Okay, and activity is a development of work, save and close. And then I said, okay, do you need any more tasks to finish this story? He said, okay, I need to do unit testing after this um, code finish. Okay, unit testing. This is a development job to finish the unit testing, right? So this is also dev job assigned to same Alex, and ask for the time. How many hours you need to do unit testing? Said 2 hours. Okay, good. Development job, and save and close. So I said, okay, do you need any more tasks to finish the story to developer? This developer said, no more. That's it. All right, now come to the tester. What tester will do for the story? QA. So QA said, okay, I have to analyze first. So okay, I'm giving to our tester like Taj. And so how long you're gonna take to analyze this story? Said 1 hour. This is the testing activities, and save and close. Another task for a tester, uh, like so testers will give their input. What are the other tasks they will do? For example, they're saying uh, test scenario design. So test scenario design basically, I'm giving to Taj as well, and I'm asking how long you're gonna take. Say scenario design and the hour, and let's see what else. So QA said, okay, we have to do test design, test case design, case design. Also Taj will do that. And then how long you're gonna take to test case design? Say 3 hours. And is that whoever create design the test case, the same person will execute? Maybe not, maybe yes. Okay, so let's think that different person will execute. Okay, QA test execution will be done by another tester, Amna. And I said how long you gonna take to execute the test case? Said 2 hours. Okay, because execution defect log as well, that's why 2 hours I can consider. So those are the like normal in general task normally you're gonna see in for a user story. But some user story you might gonna have like data setup, deployment, some different kinds of testing, documentation, some other things. And there are sometimes you're going to do the scenario test case, scenario test condition review with some other people, peer review and test case review, update test plan, all those things you have to do different tasks. So anything, any workable item basically will be task. So you can see right now all those hours total up for this story 16 hours. So now this was how many story point, two story points, but total 16 hours to finish this story. 16 hours, effort will be 16 hours, 16 hours to finish this story. Okay, so for the second story I cannot tell how many hours will take to finish the story until I do task estimation. Okay, so same way I can do in sprint planning, they do task estimation, they add all the tasks, they ask people and then they get their input, they add all the tasks and they move on, they progress. Okay, okay, after they have all the tasks, they are committed all the story. So product owner can go back to the backlog board and say, okay, this story is basically committed, all the tasks we have and story point and estimation done, so it's committed to finish in this sprint. Okay, so this way they can commit all the other stories as well, they can move on. And the sprint, so whenever developer will work in analyze the story, they will input in progress, and tester will work on analyze the story, put in progress. Whenever they are done, they can move to the done. So so now how many hours we have total for this sprint? This is, I can see in if I go backlog, we have team hours total 230 hours. In we have to finish in 10 days. We have to finish in 10 days, 230 hours. So basically a day we have to finish 10 hours a day. So this is called a burn a down. Every day a team should burn the 23 hours. If you burn a daily basis 23 hours of work, then by the end of 10 days all 233 hours of work will be done. So you have team capacity 233 hours, so basically you will get 233 hours of work, and then you have to burn it by in 10 days, all 233 days of work. If you go to the burn down, this is the burn down chart. If you go to the burn down, you can see that here is a planned 230 hours of work you have, and you have it 10 days here. So each day 10 hours you have to burn, and then end of the 10 days it will be 0. So by work progress, and you see the work. Okay, you have that much work, and then you can see how much remaining, how much remaining, and how much remaining. So burn down is basically you can see how much work is remaining. Okay, and burn up basically how much work is done. So just vice versa, but same meaning, same thing. So that's all pretty much here. We don't have velocity. Velocity is basically in a particular sprint, this team is capable of finishing how many points of the story. Okay, so if you finish this sprint, and then if you can finish all four stories, basically we have um, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, or 1 point. Okay, so 7 point story. If you're able to finish in this sprint, basically your velocity would be 7. And um, and is that correct velocity? I'm not sure, because maybe next sprint you'll able to finish 9, maybe other sprint you'll able to finish 5. So it's not always 7 or 9 or 5, but after 4 or 5 sprint, if you see the history of the story point to completion, and then you'll able to say that average we'll able to finish 7 story point in a sprint in this team. That is would be your accurate velocity. So based on the velocity you'll able to plan for next sprint. But now, as a beginner, in the beginning level of the sprint is not very easy. It's very difficult to find out the accurate velocity of the team. uh, so that's all pretty much here. And work item, basically, if someone assigned to you anything, any story or any task or any bug or anything, it will display in a work item as whatever unassigned thing in the work item. And then you can basically filterize, like, okay, those are the work item recently updated, and you can filter a recently completed, nothing completed. You can say recently created, all those things are recently created. Assigned to me will tell you uh, what are the story or things are assigned to you. If I click on assign to me, I'm not gonna see anything because I did not assign to me anything. So basically in the morning time, whenever you're gonna go to the office, you will just go to the work item and check what assigned to you, and then you will see the list of things that Scrum Master or developer or product owner assigned to you. That's a very easy way to see. And you can log a bug from here, but I will come to the bug a little bit in the later part of the video. So let's go to the test plan, where QA will perform their work in the test plan. Okay, so in the test module, I'm going to click on the test plan. You'll see that, okay, the test plan is not a document test plan. It's a just module where basically you're gonna plan your test, where you're gonna design your test cases and test data. You're gonna execute your test cases, update the pass or fail, all those things you can do, like text test management you will do in here. But as VSTS or Azure DevOps or TFS is not complete test management tool. It's a release management tool, or is a source code repository tool where you can keep your all code or development works, documents, everything, and then you can manage your Scrum project and team and your work progress, all those things. You can plan this sprint, you can keep your backlog items, you can manage your bug or defect in the VSTS. But for test management, you have to basically add another tool, not third party. Microsoft has very nice tool which is called Microsoft Test Manager. And before it called MTM, now they just call Test Manager. Okay, you have to add that Test Manager, or basically you have to have the add-in, and then you'll able to use it. So how you can add the Microsoft Test Manager in the VSTS? You have to click on here in the briefcase. Basically you have to browse the marketplace. Okay, you have to click on the browse marketplace, then you can search Test Manager and then search it. You will see Test Manager, not the test and feedback, Test Manager. You'll click there. This is the free trial you have to add as an add-on, and you can say get for 30 days. You can, if you want, you can go for training. There is some training documentation screenshots, you can check those. It will help you to identify or understand how to manage that. For this organization, I can get 30 days free trial, and it will be added in our VSTS. Proceed to the organization. All right, Now if I select my project, select the project and go to the test plan. Now you can see the test plan. You have to create a new test plan. So if I click on new test plan, just you have to give a name of the test plan. Some company they create a test plan for release base. For particular release they create a test plan. Some company they create the test plan sprint base. Some company they just create a test plan for the project base or application based or any logical name you have to give. For example, I'm giving the sprint here, sprint 1. So basically I'm planning to design my test cases in the test plan in the sprint 1 test plan. Okay, what area of path, like retail 1 is my project, iteration is basically my sprint 1, and I can create the test plan specifically for the first sprint, and the test plan is created, and under this test plan I have to create a test suite. I can create a static test suite or requirement based test suite or query based test suite. Static test suite is basically any test suite, any folder you're going to create and give any name is static suite. And requirement based suite basically based on whatever the user story you are working for this sprint, based on that name you will give the folder name. Query based suite basically you have to filter some items by the query and create the suite based on that. So mostly use the static suite and requirement based suite. So let's create both. Let's create static suite first. For example, I'm giving the suite name is functional testing, and let's create another static suite. So highlight the root folder and click on static suite. This is integration testing, and highlight the sprint 1 and create another static suite, smoke testing. So those are the major testing people they do in the company. And for the functional testing, for example, for the functional testing, I have a few user story for this particular sprint, right? And then I will obviously create some functional test cases for those story. So under functional testing, I can create some subfolders, different user story by user story or different requirement by requirement. So I will create a requirement based suite, but before I do that, I have to select the highlight the folder that under which folder I'm planning to create the requirement based suite. So I highlight the functional testing and then requirement based suite I'm selecting, and I have to search by the query that what requirement I'm gonna select to create the test cases. So work item type. So again guys, this is a very important thing in the VSTS. Anything you're gonna search, you have to use basically different types of query. Without query you cannot search anything. Okay, for example, you're searching a bug, you're searching user story, task, or anything you want to search, you have to use the query. So this is example of searching. For example, you're searching work item type in a group Microsoft requirement category. So whatever in the requirement category, for example our user stories, right, those are basically my work item. And area of the path, like for what, from what project you're searching. So it's a retail 1. If you need to search, if you need to add more criterias, you can add a new clause. Okay, first I'm gonna run. Let's see if I have so many items in the search result, then I can add more criterias to narrow down my search basically. Yes, I have a lot. I don't know which one I have to add. Okay, I have to select. So let me add another criteria. So and I'm looking for example work, let's see, use the work item type, not bug, not epic, not features. I'm looking for product backlog item, equal product backlog item. Oh, I have the same results pretty much. So the first user story for this sprint is basically this one. As a CSR, I would like to log in with a valid username and password. So I will create some test cases for this requirement or user story. So I can select that and create the suite based on the requirement. Okay, so the suite is created here, and based on in this suite basically I have to create my actual requirement. I mean actual test cases. Before I go for the test cases, I have to do one thing. If I analyze the user story or requirement, the second thing is basically I have to identify the test scenarios or test condition in order to write a proper test cases, right? So if I analyze my user story, then what are the scenarios be there? Let me open the user story first. I'll keep this UI open. Let me open the user story in different tab. So basically my backlog. So right click on the backlog in new tab, and then in the sprint, basically this is my user story. Let's open it. So basically said, as a CSR, I would like to log in with the valid username and password so that I can navigate to the retail homepage. And those are my acceptance criteria. Very straightforward user stories. And if I look at my acceptance criteria, is with valid credentials, user will navigate to the home page. So this could be my first scenario. Okay, I have to validate that user is actually navigate to the home page or not, right? And the second scenario is basically I can say, okay, acceptance criteria said with invalid credential, user will get an error message in the top of the UI, login UI. Okay, so I can say that if I insert anything wrong than the valid, then obviously I will get an error message in the top of the UI. So that could be my second scenario. With empty username and password, the user will get error message in the pop-up UI. So it's a little bit different than the second one. If I leave empty, either username or password or both empty, then obviously I'll get error message in the pop-up UI. So that those three different behaviors I have to validate in the login UI. So that could be, so those three are basically my test scenarios. Okay, so identified test scenarios. Let me create three test cases for those three scenarios. Okay, so in the plus new sign I can say new test cases. So new test case, and I have to give a test case name. So I can give a first, based on what scenario I'm writing this test case, I can give in the summary section. But before I go for it, I have to give a test case name. So test case name I can give successful login, my first test case name. So successful login, you can give any other name. Is not a, is there is no any standard that okay test case name should be that big or that small or those words you have to use. No, there is no such kind of thing. So as long as it makes sense or easy to find out, that's good enough to give the name of the test case. And so test case name is there, and this test case in status in design right now because I'm designing the test case, and it's for this project and this iteration or sprint. If your company has more fields to narrow down the features area or location of the test case, like which areas of the application is covering, you can mention that. And in summary, it's very important thing, okay, very important thing for a tester. Whenever you're gonna write a test case or design your test case, you have to mention that okay, is there any precondition, is there any post condition, is there any special direction or special like instruction for testers to know before you run the test case or after you run the test case. For example, you have to run a SQL maybe before you run a test case, or after you run the test case maybe you have to run a SQL or DB refresh to do something. Okay, this kind of thing you can mention in the description, and also you can mention like what are the test condition this test case covered, or what are the scenarios this test case covered. All those things you can mention in the description section in the summary of the VSTS. Other tools has also this similar kind of thing you can mention over there. So this is a very good practice for a tester, whoever writing or designing the test case. You can mention everything in the summary section. Whoever gonna execute the test case, the person should read the summary of description before you run the test case. So it's very good, keep in mind. Okay, so in the description for this one I have one basically prerequisite. um, User should have valid username and password password in order to log in basically. So I'm saying like obviously you're gonna insert the valid username password. Like how you gonna get the valid username password? Either you have to get from database or maybe from developer, from maybe client, or maybe you have to create. All right, so user should have anyway valid username password, whoever gonna execute the test case. And what scenario I'm covering here? So scenario is covering basically verify user um, user login successfully using valid valid credential and navigate to home page. So this is basically was my scenario, and I'm covering that scenario in this test case. So test case name is good, prerequisite is good, scenario is there in the summary. Now the time to design the steps. Let's go. In the steps section, here is insert step. You can click on here or you can just click and type. First step, basically in general, open the retail application in any browser, and what would be the expected result? Expected result would be the retail login UI. Login UI should display, or should open, should be displayed or should be open, something like that, whatever you are expecting. Second step, whenever the login UI is displaying, what you can do, you can just insert valid username and valid password, then click on OK button, click on sign in button. How I know all those things? Basically, I have a design document. If I show you guys, I have a design document. So here, if you just insert username and password, there's sign in button. So this is login UI you should get first, and with invalid you'll get the error in the top of the UI, and with empty username and password you'll get a pop-up error message. So this is described in the design document, so I'm following that also. So that's all about my test case, but the question is, where is test data? Like what, how you're gonna open the application. For example, I'm designing the test case, so I know how to do all those things. And tomorrow I just quit from the company, or maybe I'm sick, or move from one project to another project. The new person, new member, how the person will know that how to open the retail application, and what specific valid username and password you have to insert, right, in order to log in. Before I do that, there is expected result is empty, so let's finish that. Insert valid username and password, click on sign in button, then what would happen? User um, user should log in successfully, obviously, then and navigate to home page. So that would be my validation point at the end of the test case. Now the question is, what URL I have to use and what username and password you have to use. Different company manage that test data differently. Some company use the parameter value, they keep all the data in the parameter, they give the name of the parameter, and then they mention the parameter that you use this parameter for username, this parameter for password. Or some company they use the test data in the step level. So now I have a step into one row. If you want to go second line of the row, then you have to click on shift enter, and then second line shift enter another line. So I have the URL already, I can mention here. This is the basically URL to use, and for username and password, shift enter. Username would be um, and password would be, those are the valid. Look, when I insert enter, it creates a third step, but I don't need third step, delete that. I in the second step I need third line, basically shift enter. So password would be happy ocean 459. I know those are valid test data. So some company they use the parameter to manage the test data, or some company they put it in the step level, but I like this way. So whenever I'm running, I don't have to click any additional places. I know that using parameter is more organized, but I like user friendly more. They could add another column to manage the test data. Anyway, that's good enough. Whatever they have, that's fine. Test data in this step. Now, this test case, you're designing for what user story? You are designing so you know, but if next time someone execute the test case, how the person will know if you don't mention the user story number or name anywhere in the test case. So you have to basically link the user story that you are working on with this test case. So test case will link with the user story. User story is linked with the features. Feature is all obviously linked with the epic. So everything are interconnected, easy to track and trace, right? So how to link the user story? Basically, you have to click on add link existing item, and do you know that what is the ID of the user story that you're working on? Obviously, that user story would be the parent of this test case, right? ID, I'm not sure, but you can go back and find out the ID. The ID is 5 basically. Product backlog item 5. So I can search by 5. This is the one. Not this one. It's a test suite 27, which is created for user story 5, and I'm just linking only the user story 5. User story 5. So this is the parent of this test case. I'm creating this test case for this parent user story. And so far everything covered. Automated, not automated, that's fine. And look here, very important, very nice features this VSTS has: associated automation. So in future, if this test case become an automated script, then you can mention the automated test case name here, and where this automated test case located, and what type of automation is that. You can mention that, so the person not gonna execute the test case manually. He will go, or she will go to the automation place and then find out the automation test and run automatically, which is faster. Is everything set? Everything good here? Mm, that's all. Let me save and close. So this way you can just um, design more test cases. Same process. And the test case, if you wanna change anything, basically you have to just double click and it will open, and then you can change whatever you want and save and close. That's all pretty much. You can copy the title, you can copy whatever you want. Um, Now, if you want to run the test case, you can see it's active with the blue icon. Active. Active means the test case is not executed yet. If you execute, and then you can move back to the active anymore again. So basically, before you execute the test case, you can make it active. So if the test case will be executed by you, then from active mode, you can right click, assign to a tester or other tester, and then the person will get a notification, or will get in the work item assigned to me, and then person will execute the test case. For example, I am assigning to me this test case. Now you can see the tester is Tariq Ahmed. So Tariq Ahmed is assigned to execute this test case. Uh, some company, what they do, they assign the test case by their name. Like, okay, I assign myself for my test case, I don't assign for other people. Everybody assign their task by their name. Some company, the test lead or scrum master will assign the task for the people. So both way fine. For example, is assigned to me. So if I go, for example, next day, I open the VSTS, I click on work item, and assigned to me. Look at that, lots of things assigned to me. Sprint 1 is assigned to me, all those things are assigned to me. and I have one functional testing assigned to me. Let me click on functional testing, and no, let me go back. The successful login test case is assigned to me. So I can click on the successful login, and then I can just execute the test case. So you cannot execute here. You can see the test case is this test case. You have to execute successful login test case number 28. Now you can click on that, or you can go back to the test plan and find out the test case 28 and then select that. Click on run. There is a run for web application. You can click on, and then manual runner will open. Manual runner, okay, where you can see your test case. So based on the steps, you can read step by step and execute the test case manually in the application, and then insert the pass or fail result. Okay, so let's do that. First one, open the retail application in any browser. So this is my retail application URL. I have to open any browser. Let's open in Internet Explorer. I have Internet Explorer. I can copy paste the URL. Expected result is retail login UI should be displayed, and retail login UI is displaying. So it's as expected, so it's passed. So whenever the expected result and actual result is matching, then basically it's passed. Second step said insert valid username and valid password, then click on sign in button. Valid username basically Said Amir, and password is basically Happy Ocean 459. They said if I click on sign in button, user should log in successfully and navigate to the home page. So let's see if I click on sign in button. Oh, what's going on? Application with the alias retail does not exist. Seems like integration issue. The second page not integrated with the login page. So if you find any issue during the execution, what do you have to do? The first thing first, you have to check that issue multiple times to see that this issue is applicable, is reproducible or not. Sometimes some issue is one time reproducible, one another time if you try is not reproducible, so you have to try multiple times. Let's open a new tab, close this one, start over the thing again, copy the URL, open it here. Okay, that's fine. Insert username, which is Said.Amir. Password is HappyOcean459. Same thing, right? I guess this is a reproducible defect. I tried twice. If you want, you can try in different browser as well. That this defect is browser specific or is overall any browser. That's defect. You can check that as well. And now let me try one more time before I move on. Same thing, same result. So I can take a screenshot for my um, like I have to prove that I found this defect, right? So I had to save the screenshot if anything happened, like okay, if application by mistake I close it. So before I do that, let me um, take a screenshot. So for screenshot, you can use so many different tools. For example, there is inbuilt Windows tool which is snipping, or you can use print screen, or maybe your company is using snapshot taking tool, any tool. But I use Lightshot, which is basically Microsoft tool. You can download from Google, free Microsoft tool, Lightshot. I love this tool, so let me use it. So I have Lightshot. So now take the screenshot. I can take the whole thing here and save it in my desktop like login issue. I can say that, and then I can close my browser because I took the screenshot, so I'm good to go. So this step basically failed because the expected result was not matching with expect actual result, so it's defect. Then I can say fail. If you say fail, then you have to add a comment. So what you can add a comment, you can say that what happened, you can mention the what was the defect. So like whenever you find this is the issue, you can check multiple times to see the defect is reproducible or not. If this is a reproducible, then you can go for checking that the defect is duplicate defect or not. That defect is found by somebody else already and logged already or not. Okay, so if that is logged or found by someone else already, and then you cannot log a duplicate defect. Okay, you just can find out the defect and then get the ID and attach the defect ID, existing defect, with this test case. If there is no duplicate defect, then you can go ahead and create a new defect. So let's do both. Okay, so how to do that? You're gonna search existing defect. The defect is about login issue. Okay, login issue. So let's search any defect. How to search any existing defect? You can go to work and queries. You can search in queries and new query and work item type. I'm looking for bug. Okay, all the bug I'm gonna search. Definitely not all the bug. Out of all the bug, I'm looking for those bugs which has a title, a title as I don't know exact title. I'm guessing that someone logged it maybe by name, giving name login or login error. Let me search with login. If I see a lot of defect login, then I'll add more condition like I'm looking for an open defect, or maybe still open any defect, not closed or not rejected defect. Okay. Oh, there is no defect. Yeah, that's possible because it's just a new trial version tool. I did not create any defect, so that's why it's no defect, but my search criteria is good. Okay, so this is the way to search different defect to see that there is a similar defect or duplicate defect or not. Okay, so there is, as there is no defect, duplicate defect, I can go ahead and create the defect for my test result. So how to create the defect? During the runtime, from the runner, you can click on create bug, and then this UI will display, and this UI automatically all the steps and which step basically failed, everything displayed. Okay, but I have two steps, that's why two steps displayed here. If I have 1,000 step, for example, 1,000 is not possible for manual test case. If you have 100 steps, and then all the 100 steps will display here, and maybe your 50 number steps is failing, and you're logging with the test case, you're logging the test case, then is a problem. I'll show you what is the problem. First, you have to give a title of the bug. It should be very clear and concise and small title that people, by reading the title, people will know that what's going on in the defect. They don't have to go inside the defect to see more details. Okay, so title, you should mention definitely where this defect is located, where, or which UI or which features. Okay, I'm saying like in login UI, what happened? Login UI with valid credential, user is getting error message. So this is my small title. That could be a better title or bigger or whatever. Like as long as people are understanding about the defect or bug by looking at the title, that's good enough. Assign to, you can assign to your test lead or your product owner or scrum master based on your company's defect lifecycle procedure. You're gonna assign. So in my company, normally we assign to my product owner to verify the defect, and product owner will assign to the test developer. So as Tariq Ahmed is the product owner, I can assign to Tariq Ahmed. Um, the defect is status is new right now because I just found the defect. New defect reported, and this sprint I found the defect. This project I found the defect. Priority, obviously I'm gonna say very critical priority, and severity I'm gonna say is very critical. Severity is basically showstopper. So critical severity. Remaining work, it is not my job to fix the defect, so I'm not sure the remaining work. Developer will put the remaining work. What build you found the defect, what integrated build, you can mention the integrated build and found in build. All those things you can mention if you have in your company. Here, repro steps is very important thing. Step to reproduce or step to recreate or repro steps. Here I have two steps, basically hold my test case, and second step fail. What if you have 100 steps manual test case and step number maybe 75 is failing? Then if you assign to your product owner, the person does not have any time to execute a test case until 75 step and see the defect is valid defect or not, and then product owner will assign to dev lead or developer. They're not gonna execute my test case. So what do you have to do? Even though you have the test case steps here automatically generated, you can put it down, and then you can give a very nice and simple few steps to go to that defect and see the defect. Those call step to reproduce. For me it's gonna be anyway two steps because it's small test case. So I can say step to repro or recreate. Number one, open the retail app, insert valid, username and password, then click on OK, but sign in button. Expect a result. Basically, retail homepage is my expect result, and actual error message. So that's how it's to reproduce. You can mention like test configuration, I mean system information, um, like what browser you found the defect and what version of the application you found the defect and what build, what platform, all those things you can mention here. If you have an acceptance criteria you can mention. So far those good enough. The test case user story is linked automatically, and test case is linked automatically, and everything good enough. So I can save, and before I save and close I have to attach this screenshot. It's a very important thing. Okay, attachment and add attachment and login issue, that the screenshot I have taken already and I have attached already, and save and close. And do I know that what defect I just logged the ID? Because I want to put in the comment. I don't know the ID, right? I forgot to see the ID, because after you create an ID auto generator, right? So I can search right now. Work item type looking for bug title contains login. Let me search. Yes, this defect is my 29. So I can mention that defect number 29, defect or bug 29. Because of defect 29, this step failing. Okay, so defect is good, defect linked, defect logged, everything good. Now save and close. Okay, so my test step failed, test script failed, everything failed. In test run basically will show that that in particular day, I mean particular day or last 7 days, or in a day, a particular hour or particular tester, what are the test case people executed, how many percent is passed, how many percent is failed. Basically your scrum master or product owner will look into the run option. Load test we're not gonna do in the load test here. I'm not gonna show you guys load test here. Configuration I'm not gonna show. So those are basically test management here in VSTS. Now the last thing is basically the dash. Before I go to the dashboard, the test plan, there's one more thing. If you want to export your test case or email your test case, for example, there is a client, they don't have access in VSTS, they're looking for your test case to execute the test case in UAT environment. Then how you're gonna send them the test case? So for example, this based on this suite you wanna send them. Okay, right click and then export. You can export whole test plan, properties of the test plan. What are the things you wanna like export? You wanna export only the suite or all the children also, like all the test cases as well. And you can email them, just email view like that, and then you can say to and search the people, give a note and send. Or you can print, right click and export, and there is a print. You can just print, save as basically PDF, so you're able to save in your computer. Okay, so those are the two options here to print or export the test case. um, Let me go back to the dashboard then. In the dashboard, basically dashboard is will show all different types of report and graph report, all those things based on as a team whatever you need. So basically product owner, scrum master will create those dashboard for you. If you have any idea, you can create the dashboard. So I'm gonna give few little thing about the dashboard. Like in the overview section, you have to, I don't have any dashboard right now, so you can add a widget. So we have like assigned to me. If you want to see in the morning what are the things that are assigned to you in the dashboard, pretty easy way, then you can have that in the dashboard. If you want to see the build history, then you can have that in the in the dashboard. And add, this is add, and I'm gonna say I want to see in the dashboard that what's going on in the sprint burn down and sprint capacity. I want to see the sprint overview. I want to see the team members. Those are the things I want to see in the dashboard. Okay, and then that's it. And done editing. So this is that my dashboard I just created. It's customizable. You can move one end to the another, and if you can edit, then you can move it. You can move it if you want. That this one I want to see in the right or left. You can change it. You can configure the widget. So you can see here, retail team, 10 days remaining, 9 work item not started, 1 bug so far I have logged, and sprint that many hours is capacity we have. This is the team members, this is the burn down chart. So everything you can see easily in one place is basically your dashboard. Okay, very important thing. That's also for in this session for you guys for a QA. I guess you those are the good enough things you should know in order to um, like work in VSTS for testing purpose. Now I'll show you whatever I have created. I'm gonna delete those because it's very important to delete something. If you have permission to delete anything, then you can delete something. For example, by mistake, even the home, if you want to do practice, for mistake you just created a wrong test case, then you can just highlight and delete the test case. Test case deleted. Then if you want to delete the suite, there is a cross sign. Thus you have to mention confirm the ID 27 ID. I'm gonna delete. Confirm, permanently deleted. Now you're gonna delete this suite, delete 24. This way you can delete the suite, uh, 25 and 26. Alright, all those things are deleted. Now test plan I have to delete. Now how to delete the test plan? So if you want to delete your test plan, which is the sprint 1, you have to go and click on the test plan, and then you'll see sprint 1, then menu and delete. And same way 22, permanently delete. So all those things from the test plan is gone. It's empty right now. Now let's go back to the work item, or I mean backlog. If you want to delete any user story from the backlog, basically backlog items, then just there is a menu sign, click and delete, delete, click and delete. So this way you can delete any features, any epic, any backlog, all those things you can delete. And then if you want to delete project, big thing, right? How you gonna delete? You have to go to the um, home page, and then this is the project retailer one. Click, it's delete, but it's not delete permanently. If you want to delete permanently, then you have to go to the settings, projects. Then from here you have to just delete, but you have to type the exact name of the project, which is retail one, and then will be deleted. So guys, that's all about VSTS. Before I finish, I did not, let's see, I deleted everything. I need to see. Oh, I deleted all those things. Mm, let me create a new project because I need to show you guys a little bit about the Azure DevOps modules. So let me create retail 2 agile scrum. That's fine. Okay, this is the VSTS version, dashboard, repos, work, pipeline, test, wiki. If I go back to the Azure view, Azure DevOps view, you have to go preview features and new navigation and close it. So this is Azure DevOps view. Now you can see overview is the main folder. Under this folder there is summary, dashboard, wiki. We did not have overview and summary before in the Azure, VSTS. Now we had a dashboard outside, we had a test wiki outside. Now we have in Azure DevOps, we have summary, dashboard, wiki. Under overview we have boards. Under the boards we have work item, boards, backlog, sprint queries, and in VSTS we have work item, backlog, queries, all those things. But over there is called boards. Repos, basically we had reports here in the VSTS as well, repos, and we have repos. Pipeline we had a in VSTS. Test plan same as VSTS. Artifact is a new thing in the Azure DevOps. Other than everything same, other than the look of this here. If you go test plan, look at the test plan. You can create a new test plan, new test case. All those things are basically same. If you go board like backlog, this is a little bit different. The backlog, like if you want to see the epic backlog, then you have to select the feature backlog or backlog item, or you have to select the epic. So it's a different way. Before it was in the left side everything, now in the right side and top in the drop down. um, those are the pretty small things are different in Azure DevOps, but still I like the Azure VSTS look better. Maybe I have used a lot, but still anyway both are good to use. It's not very confusing, very straightforward tool and very famous tool, guys. If you can learn this tool and put in your resume, obviously your resume gonna be more richer, and you can use in your project effectively. Okay, and that's all about today. Thank you very much, and obviously don't forget to put a comment, suggestion, anything in the video. Obviously that will improve my next video a lot. Your comments always inspiration for me. Thanks.